forget about the miracle in Massachusetts, because as you look out there amongst this crowd, there's one going on right now. It's going on with an individual in this room that I'm going to introduce you to. A little background about Marco Rubio. He and I served together in the Florida House. Actually, he got in a little bit before I did in a special election in 2000, and I came in the 2000 election, back when Tallahassee was the center of the universe. And it wasn't long before people realized that Marco was destined for leadership. You see, leadership is much more than a title. We give out titles, and a lot of people, accept those titles and stay in their little realm of their title. But Marco ventured out beyond that and proved himself as a leader. It's principle-based leadership. You see, when you see in the paper out there that everybody has this discontent and they're angry and they're passionate, it's not feigned activism as the press would have you believe. It's people out there just like you who are tired of seeing the government nationalize your banks, nationalize your insurance companies, take over your auto industry, and nationalize your health care. It's people like you who said we've had enough. And let me tell you something. What happened last night started with a group like this and catapulted itself exponentially because of the synergy of the group got behind one person who has principles, who not only has those principles, preaches those principles, but more importantly, practices those principles. Ladies and gentlemen, the man I'm going to introduce you to is a great family man. He's a good friend. He's been a servant in this great state of Florida, but more importantly, with your help, he will be the next United States Senator from the state of Florida. Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, my former Speaker, Marco Rubio.
Anybody here on Twitter? Do you anybody here use that? Because this is what I want to do if you don't cooperate for a second. I don't want you to think I'm strange. I want to take a picture of you with my phone and put it up later. Here's why. Number one, my wife doesn't believe that 300 people show up to hear me speak. I love for giving away free stuff. She doesn't believe that. So I'm going to take a picture of you at the end if you don't. Let me just do it right now. Sounds good. I just wanted to see it. I don't want to forget this day. So just go about your business.
Should we wave?
We could all give you a thumbs up.
I can't get the whole room. All right. I think I got it. All right. Thank you. Thank you for that kind introduction, Dennis and Cindy. Good to see you guys. I have tremendous respect for Dennis Ross. He was a great member of the Florida House. He'll do great, hopefully, as a congressman, and I'm just grateful for your support and for all the things you did during our 8.5 years together in the Florida House. Someone I respected tremendously. He was a key part of our leadership team. He was one of the most respected members of the legislature. Our members went to him on all sorts of things. The legislature has a handful of grown-ups. That doesn't mean you're old. It just means you're mature and you know how the world works. And on certain issues, especially issues that have to do with the insurance markets in Florida, Dennis Ross was one of the grown-ups. And that's a compliment. And I'm grateful we got to serve together, and I wish you the best in your new endeavor. I have someone with me here today, Dennis Baxley, who was my Speaker Pro Tem. That's like being the Vice Speaker. It's like the second in command. People ask me, why'd you pick him? A lot of reasons. He's a tremendous man of faith, has the respect of all the members, has a heart of gold. But more than anything else, you can't tell me he doesn't look like Dick Cheney. Stand up. Tell me that's Chuck Bennis is a much better shot than Dick Cheney. And locally, I know he's not here tonight, but Rich Glorioso does a phenomenal job for this community. He was one of the few freshmen and sophomore members that we empowered on issues, quite frankly, on transportation. He is an authority on state transportation issues. And like I said, he's obviously very fortunate to be your state representative, but I want you to know that he is one of the most respected members in the legislature and someone that you're very fortunate to have representing you in Tallahassee. I know he's not here tonight, but make sure he knows that how much respect I have for him. And finally, I've always believed that being Speaker of the Florida House is the second toughest job in Tallahassee. The toughest job in Tallahassee is being President of the Senate, because you'll correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. President, but the President of the Senate basically has to run an organization where there are 39 other people that believe they should be President of the Senate, but are basically allowing you to do it because they're too busy. And Tom Lee was a phenomenal President of the Senate, and I'm glad you're here tonight with us, Mr. President. Thank you. grateful to be here with you today. I apologize, I left the teleprompter at home, but I couldn't get it past security. These new standards are making it harder, so I'm just going to wing it. And thank you for having this for me tonight. Some of you are meeting me for the first time, so I want to talk to you briefly about who I am. And then I want to talk to you about why I'm running for the United States Senate. I think it's the most important question that any candidate. People are talking about jobs and the economy, and this Congress and this President are talking about cap and trade and a government takeover of health insurance. And that disconnect has never been bigger than it is today. I submit to you that our elected officials, particularly at the federal level, have never been more disconnected from the real lives of real people than what we have in America today. And that was one of the reasons. I made the decision to run. I made the decision to run for a very simple reason. I think that what's going on today in Washington will fundamentally redefine our nation in a way that I simply can't sit back and accept. I really believe that we need to send people to Washington, D.C. to stand up to this agenda and offer a clear alternative. And as I look at the field of folks that are running, I don't believe any of them will, except me. Not because I'm smarter than them or a better person than them, but because I'm running because of these issues, and the rest of them are not. And let me tell you what I mean by that. The United States is the freest, most prosperous nation in the history of all mankind. There's never been anything like the United States. And let me tell you that I come to that from perhaps a different perspective of many people. Now, I'm born in the U.S., United States citizen from birth. I've never known anything but this. Okay? Here's what happens when you're born here and have lived here your whole life. I think sometimes people have a tendency to take this for granted. People come to believe that not only is this the way it is everywhere else, but that in fact this is the way it's always going to be. It's just automatic, right? America will always be free. America will always be prosperous. Because that's just the way things are. And unfortunately, I think there's a tendency to believe that this stuff is self-perpetuating and we don't need to do anything except wake up in the morning and live our lives. And it's just not true. Growing up in a community of exiles, I've been raised by people who know that it's not true. I've been raised around people that have served 20 years in jail because they oppose the government. I've been raised by people who saw their fathers and their brothers executed for speaking out against injustice, against corruption in government, against totalitarianism. I've been raised by people that know you can lose your country, and you can lose it fast. When you are the son of exiles, you don't have the luxury of being apolitical, because your entire life is shaped by a political experience and the impact that it has on their lives and on yours. And so I know that what's happening in America now is extremely important. Remember I said that America is the freest, most prosperous nation in human history? I believe that that is a product of constitutionally limited government. Of a decision that was made that in this nation we would not allow government to pick winners and losers in our economies. We talk a lot about liberty and freedom. All the credit and attention is given to our political liberties and freedom. Political liberty and freedom is important. But so is economic liberty. I cannot go back to my children 20 or 30 years from now if America makes the wrong choice and say to them that I decided to do nothing. I didn't run because the race was too hard. How can someone whose parents overcame so much say that? In fact, the final verdict on our generation will be written by men and women who haven't even been born yet. Here's what I think they'll write. I think they'll write that in the early part of the century, America had a choice to make about whether it believed all the things that made her great were still possible. Whether she still wanted to stand for freedom and liberty as a beacon to all the world. Whether America still wanted to be a defender for the principle that all men truly are created equal. For the principles that your rights come from your creator, not from your government or from your president. For the principles that anyone from anywhere can be anything if they've got the talent and the drive to accomplish. Founders of our nation believe that all people are flawed, and so instead they put their faith in the rule of law. And from that came limited government. I'm just an everyday citizen of the United States, just like you, with the unique opportunity to serve in this capacity at this moment. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.